Live yet? I'm live. Okay. Sorry guys. I was talking to my friend Danny and I lost track of time. So, my bad. Um Yes, I am late. I apologize. I was talking to her and I was like her and I were just talking about like random shit and then I look at the time and I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to go. I have to stream. I'm so sorry. I need to leave." And yeah, so thanks for bearing with me. Um, thank you. Welcome Sane, welcome Estefania, welcome Wonder Red, welcome Sven, and welcome Bert. I am here. Also, then I need to piss. So now I'm here. So yeah, hopefully this loads where we were at. Yes, I almost hit delete. That would have been terrible. Okay. I don't know how much left of this game I have. I want to say I have like 2 more hours of it though. So we'll see. But yeah, let me know. All right, we got 5 people here. It looks like we got the people that are ready. So let's do this. It's 37 degrees in Florida and snowed yesterday. It is currently 0 degrees with a feeling like it's negative 22 here in Wisconsin. Let's see. Yeah, because today's Monday. And yeah, it's 1 degrees. Feels like negative 17. And tomorrow the low will be negative 2. And I can't wait for Friday where it's going to be the low of negative 8. I go outside to go to the gym and the grocery store, and that's about it. Or to go to Hobbytown. All right. Without further ado, let's, my hands are so chapped. Okay, anyway. I was like, I'm not from Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin, but I'm not from Wisconsin. I was like, oh man, I should put like some lotion by my computer so that I can moisturize my hand. And then I was like, wait. I realized how sus that looks. So, also I need to, also not everyone in Wisconsin sounds like they got the accent, the Wisconsin. All right. Hey, Sabreezy. Welcome to the stream. Make sure to like the stream, guys. I know it's the typical YouTuber thing, but it does help the stream. So, and before we say, if you want to support the stream, you can donate to the stream. The money will go toward it's more. Oh, well, you know, I might play more games in the Disturbing Iceberg list, but there's a point that you cannot go down. So we'll just keep going until I can't go any further down. But like, there's way worse visual novel games, but I'm not playing something like Euphoria that has like poop in it, and I'm good. Do you want an ASMR stream? What do you want me to do? Just get like a bucket of marbles and just like swirl them around and be like, you like that? Hold on, what is it? I don't know. The fucking I thought I was gonna sneeze. Did you play How Fish is Made? I did. Yeah. Yeah, I've played that and mouthwashing. Yeah. I'll do my dark romance voice. You like that? I've been listening to a lot of smut, and I'm like, I could never be a voice for this. My voice is not made for this. All right. What? No. What? I could... Do you want me to read you some smut passages? Is that what's happening now? I have smut book. Nah. Alright. Was it doing it for you? Oh, God. And a Gilbert Godfrey. Gilbert Godfrey, his voice is so like... I can't do this in my apartment. I can't do that voice in my apartment. Because you have to like scream the whole time. Jafar! Alright, let's try not to get... Let's try not to get banned from YouTube. Alright, you guys ready? Let's conclude this. If we only have like an hour or so left of the game, there is another visual novel I can switch to that we can do. That's only like a couple hours long. I stare at the silent phone in my hand. There is anger, of course, but something cold and heavy holds my emotions in check. The sense of danger. To be honest, I'm surprised at how calm I am. Master? Yo looks up at me apprehensively, her head between my thighs. She was attending to me throughout the call. The remaining fragments of her memory seem to have joined together as she has regained some degree of speech. Upon realizing this last night, Saya began to teach her language once more. I assume she finds our pet's efforts amusing. He's coming through Dragon Ball. Oh. Why did I think that said Dragon Piss Balls? Don't be mad. Yo will try harder. The pleasure from her ministrations? I thought that said menstruation. I was really concerned. She's our slave now. Yeah. Threatens to impede my thoughts, and besides, my arousal has already vanished. At first, I consider making her stop. When I gaze into her puppy dog eyes, however, I begin to think differently. Thanks to Saya, I have a family once again. For the first time, I am becoming aware of the responsibility it places on me. I am now the head of a new Sakisaka household, as well as its only male member. It is my duty to protect, comfort, and ensure the happiness of the women living under my roof. With that in mind, I know that I mustn't show fear or confusion. That would only cause them distress. Continue. Yes, master. I entrust myself to Yo's eager touch, basking in the pleasure with one part of my mind while contemplating our current predicament with the other. It is clear that I made a grave error when I failed to finish Koji off 2 days ago. Right now, I need to set my frustration and anger aside and deal with this problem logically. It's time to leave. I have no way of knowing when Koji escaped from the well, or how much he has learned, or how many people he has had contact with since then. Now that it is impossible to know how far the problem has spread, merely disposing of Koji won't guarantee our safety. When the enemy has poisoned your water supply, you can't take the risk that even one drop might remain. Your only choice is to stop drinking the water. Fuminari, who were you talking to? Saya returns from the kitchen where she'd gone in search of a midnight snack. She's munching on her favorite, spare ribs. Purging myself of unease and impatience, I respond with a casual shrug. It looks like we have a little problem. That bastard Koji is still alive. Oh dear. By breaking the news suddenly and without any trace of anxiety, I am able to avoid frightening Saya. Instead, she is merely surprised. I knew that remaining calm would work. Moreover, I'm currently being pleasured by Yo. It would be hard for anyone to get too serious under these circumstances. Saya, it might be best if we leave this house. Saya lowers her eyes and strokes her chin thoughtfully. This was bound to happen sooner or later. Even without Koji, it's only a matter of time before someone reports the Suzumi family missing. Yeah, Saya nods. I can tell that she's reluctant to leave, but at least there is no sadness in her expression. Everything will be fine. Ministrations are prayer. Okay, yeah. Everything will be fine. I will protect my life with Saya, just as I have up until now. I have that power. I have not read, or I tried reading the American Psycho book, and I couldn't finish it. It's not bad. It was just like, Jesus Christ. Knowing that we've overcome one problem fills me with new confidence. Now then, we'd better get ready. Okay. We can travel light and take the Suzumi family car. I'd better withdraw everything that's left in my bank account and carry it as cash. I'll also need a weapon, something more reliable than a butcher's knife. Koji will most likely follow. He thinks that Yo can still be saved. However, I'm not abandoning this house just to run away. As long as Koji knows our location, we're stuck on the defense. Leaving gives me the chance to regain the initiative and deal with him at a place of my choosing. The next time we meet, I'll kill him with my own 2 hands. I'll make sure to wring every last drop of life out of his body. A shiver runs through me as I anticipate the battle ahead, and my bloodlust burns like orgasmic fire. I think that's chlamydia. When Ryoko looks up, the morning sun is already streaming in through the window. Tired from hours of poring over files, she removes her glasses and massages her aching eyes. Her dreams are always filled with horror, yet the night she's just spent was more nightmares than them all, and is not over yet. She has only just set foot on the threshold. As expected, the files left by Ogai Masahiko were not the sort that Ryoko could simply pick up and read. Fortunately, Ogai had been too old-fashioned to put his trust in electronic media. If he'd encrypted his files on a computer, she'd have to find a hacker to decipher them. In fact, he had not employed any kind of code in his writing that would have been too time-consuming by hand. The method of obfuscation he did use was quite simple. Of the files Ryoko pulled from his underground lab, the majority turned out to be notes, and these from Ogai's day. Sorry, I just ate like right before I got on his stream. I gotta stop doing that. The important papers were the diaries and research notes that had been scattered throughout the piles of worthless scrap. At first, she was unable to understand the documents that she had found. Each sheet was covered with text on one side and blank on the other. Each line was completely unrelated to the next, making it impossible to glean any meaning from the whole. The trick revealed itself, however. While she was sorting the pages that made no sense, she found that each line continued on the same line of a different page. Hey, random guy, and hey, Devin, welcome to the stream. In Ogai's diary, for example, the first day began on the first line, then continued not with the next line, but with the first line on the next page. Similarly, the second day was the second line, the third day was the third line, and so on and so forth. After filling all the lines on one set of pages, Ogai had torn them out and scattered them among his other files. There was no regularity to how the pages were numbered, of course. Unable to locate any sort of key or legend, Ryoko had no choice but to figure out the page order manually. Despite knowing that the task would be exhausting, Ryoko set to it valiantly. After separating all of the loose-leaf sheets from the jumbled files, she began the painstaking process of linking pages together according to the contents of their first line. She found that Ogai had dismantled and scattered his diary each time he completed a number of days equal to the lines on one page, and had done the same with his research notes every 30 pages or so. The diary was much easier to restore because the entries varied in length. Later pages had a larger number of blank lines. The page with only one line, therefore, was the last page of the diary, and those with the most blank spaces could be considered closer to the end. We were talking about Drew the last stream. We don't know where he is either. Basically, except that the story is going. This is the point where you think it's going off the rails. We're already off the. We have. I don't think we've ever been on the rail. Ryoko's perseverance has paid off, for she has already succeeded in restoring several volumes of Ogai's diary. As she reads them, she feels despair draining her spirit, as it has so many times before. First time, this cursed feeling of powerlessness that comes with knowing hidden truths. Those who have tasted it once shall be beaten down by it again and again until the day they die. All secrets are connected, after all. Once you have glimpsed even the tiniest fraction of the world's true face, you have no choice but to watch in horror as the veil rolls itself back inch by inch. All that remains is to wait for the day when insanity will crush your reason under its ever-mounting weight. That's what I'm wondering too. I got a feeling it's going to be an interesting conclusion. I have succeeded in communicating with the organism. It shows enormous curiosity, and its intelligence is beyond doubt. See research notes for confirmed vocal patterns and body language. Its appetite for knowledge is insatiable, and its learning speed is off the charts. However, it exhibits absolutely no desire to be recognized as an individual. Its ego appears to be quite weak, suggesting a psyche wholly unlike that of a human. The speed of the organism's linguistic development is astounding. When I laughed at its mispronunciations, it immediately picked up the concept of puns. Ever since, it has been employing its entire vocabulary in an attempt to find puns that will make me laugh. Perhaps in a few days' time, it will have learned enough language for us to communicate freely. The organism's command of spoken language is now sufficient to facilitate higher-level discourse, but although it has regaled me with questions all day, it remains unable to answer any of mine. Its replies suggest that it gained awareness only after materializing in this universe. It has no knowledge of where it came from. While I am disappointed the fact that it has reached this level of intelligence only 1 week after starting to think tells me that there is no end to what I can learn from it. Hypothesis: it is not a naturally occurring organism, but was created by an even more sophisticated sentient life form. This would explain why it has no ego yet possesses such a hunger for knowledge. It might be some sort of hold on. Reconnaissance? I should know this word. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Reconnaissance.
That even sounded like me. What was it?
Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance drone that was sent from reconnaissance drone that was sent here from another world. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes I forget what words are. Ryoko smiles humor. This fucking illiterate thing does not shut the fuck up. Ryoko smiles humorlessly for the umpteenth time since she started reading. I also started reading yesterday. How wonderful it would be if she could laugh the diary off as the delusions of a madman or the work of a science fiction author. Alas, she knows far too much, and I don't know enough. When she thinks back to the many horrors that Ogai brought into her life, the words before her take on chilling credibility. I have confirmed that the organism's brain power far surpasses any human's. This morning I taught it about prime numbers after I explained the Lucas-Lemmer test for Mersenne primes. I'm sorry that I butchered. I'm sorry. I read books all the time. It immediately began to list examples that it had calculated in its head. I was only able to confirm by memory up to number 10, M89, but it continued to list further examples without any trouble. I left it to its calculations, and when I returned a few hours later, I discovered that it had written down more than 70 of them. Computers all over the world are currently working to calculate Mersenne primes, but the last one I remember being found was the 39th back in 2001. When I entered several of the results into my laptop and ran the Lucas Lemmer test on them, I found that every one was correct. The same is no doubt true of the rest. After all, the organism has never shown the pathological need for respect that would lead it to lie about its accomplishments. I see no reason to doubt its veracity. If I could reveal to the world an expedient method for discovering Mersenne primes, the prize money would make me a billionaire. Of course, my current research is worth far more than any sum of money. I must keep it secret. The organism's computational speed exceeds that of even the most powerful supercomputers. I can only conclude that its cognitive faculties are beyond anything humanity can imagine. I would Look, reading out loud for a long period of time can sometimes be a jumbled mess. So I'm sorry. At the organism's request, we have begun a new field of study. Despite its immeasurable aptitude for mathematics, it now desires to concentrate on sociology and the natural sciences. Perhaps our math problems are simply too elementary for it. It has shown especially keen interest in the means by which organisms reproduce and multiply. As it possesses nothing that could be called emotion, I hesitate to use this description, but when it learned about DNA, it seemed somehow excited. In fact, the organism itself seemed surprised by its reaction. When asked about the nature of the impulse, the organism decided to label it instinct. If this description is indeed accurate, then this is an extremely significant development. It would mean that there is a deeper level to its psyche than just the knowledge it has acquired. Since coming to this world, if I can use this discovery to trace its roots, I might be able to learn what it truly is. Note: candidates for the plane and world of the organism's origin are discussed in my writings on the Silver Key filed separately. I spent the whole day carrying books into its room. Apparently, the organism is no longer satisfied by the knowledge I am able to impart. It should come as no surprise considering its linguistic prowess, but the speed at which it consumes text is astounding. I'd rather build a Gundam suit. The diary continues for some time, chronicling the intimate relationship between Ogai and the organism. In the back of her mind, Ryoko imagines the old doctor climbing down the well in the middle of the night to hold Congress with some inhuman creature in that bizarre laboratory. The image is disturbingly similar to the nightmares that have shattered the silence of many nights with their screams. What follows, however, makes even her worst nightmares pale in comparison. The organism has made a very strange request. This is the first time it has asked for anything other than food and reading materials. I can hardly believe it, but it wants to consume the No. I can hardly believe it, but it wants to consume the sperm of living creatures. Wow. This is separate from its desire for food. Once again, it is describing this impulse as instinctive. Alright. Now that it has declared itself a life form that requires the seed of males, it has begun to identify itself as female. After today, I suppose I shall have to start calling the organism a she. Is the personality that she has begun to exhibit really just an imitation created for her amusement? Same. Oh my god. Ever since she started to immerse herself in our literature, she has been acting astonishingly human. She identifies herself as female and already possesses an enormous store of cultural knowledge. Is she trying to create a human identity for herself based on these? What books was she reading where she was told to consume sperm? I have seen her laugh, grow angry, and today she cried. Is she just copying our emotional displays? If not, then she is already... Is the soul something that any intelligent life form can acquire? I feel that I am witnessing something more mysterious than the genesis of life itself. Today is her birthday. Although it is a year late, I want to give her a special gift. Saya was the name of my mother's cat. In childhood, she was my sole friend and my beloved. I decided long ago that if I were ever blessed with children, I would give this name to my daughter. Happy birthday, Saya. Let this be the name of your soul. You have earned it. The ability that Saya has discovered in herself is showing more extraordinary results each day. I did read... did. I have no doubt that she is a kind of artist. What exactly is it that she created in her body from the rats... From the rat semen I gave her. At this point, I can only surmise that it is a type of retrovirus, a reverse transcriptase enzyme that creates exactly what she desires. The rats that have been transformed by her art are so very beautiful now. What is SpongeBob's in Call of Duty? I mean, at this rate, why not? The many enzymes secreted by her body and the various appendages she uses are discussed in detail in my biological observations, filed separately. Here, I will say this. By witnessing Saya perform her operations on several rats, I have gained much confidence in my theory that her body is designed specifically to manipulate the biology of other organisms. Ryoko looks grimly at the still unsorted mountain of research notes. When she finally manages to separate those papers, she will probably find the many other files mentioned in the diary. Ogai's biological observations, at the very least, she wants to look through those before facing the thing called Saya. Under no circumstances does she want to go into battle unprepared. She looks at her watch and sees that it's already 7 in the morning. Assuming Tono Koji made no stops, he should be arriving in Tokyo about now. Now that it's too late, she wishes she'd stop that stubborn fool from leaving, even if she had to shoot him in the leg to do it. Thanks for coming by, Devin. Koji pulls up 2 blocks away from the Sakisaka house and stares at the silent building. In the bright light of morning, the house seems shrouded in a dark miasma like a black hole torn out of the landscape. Is it just a figment of Koji's imagination? Every window is closed, offering no glimpse of the inside. Koji has no way of knowing whether Fuminori is home. A pedestrian walks his dog down the street, glancing back at Koji through the windshield after he passes by. Koji isn't surprised by the attention. He hasn't bathed or changed clothes since spending the night buried in mud, so he must look like a vagrant even inside his car. When he looks into the rearview mirror, he sees the haggard visage of a man who, with one foot in the grave, staring back at him. It's hard to believe that the tired, unshaven face is really his. If he stays here for too long, someone might report him to the police. He better pull himself together and get moving. He drives slowly up to the front of Fuminori's house, quickly checks to make sure no one is around, and gets out of the car. Anyone who might be in the house probably heard the sound of the engine, but there's no point in worrying about that now. It was a long drive. That's why he didn't bathe. Koji walks swiftly through the gate and yard to the front door. He puts his hands on the doorknob, foregoing the bell. The time for such pleasantries has passed. The door is unlocked, and the knob turns easily in his hand. He puts his ear to the door and listens for any sign of life. He's acting like a thief. He realizes with some shame, but that is the least of his worries now. No sound from within. After checking the street again to make sure no one is looking, he quickly opens the door and disappears inside. An indescribable stink immediately assaults his nostrils. He is already prepared for anything. However, so rather than discourage him, the stench only sharpens his caution to a razor's edge. He has crossed this threshold many times in the past, and his memories of days spent here are still bright. So why? Why does he feel the same ominous, blood-chilling aura that permeated Ogai's home and cabin? I might be stinky, but this guy's even stinkier. Anger and sorrow seize Koji's heart, as though a dear friend's grave has been defiled. Well, you might see that. Koji doesn't remove his shoes before entering. He knows why he's here, and it's not to be polite. Every storm shutter is closed, filling the house with gloom, and he can see nothing but pitch-black darkness through the open doors in the hallway. He should have brought his flashlight from the car. He thinks ruefully, then remembers that he dropped the light when Fuminari attacked him. It's still lying in the backyard of the cabin in Toshiki. The house might be empty, then again it might not. Each particle of the air seems charged with silent menace. Is his enemy lurking somewhere in the darkness? It's not hard to imagine Fuminari waiting for a chance to take him by surprise and finish what the well failed to. Koji walks down the first floor hallway, then climbs the stairs and checks the second floor too. He moves slowly and carefully, keeping his senses sharp, but feels nothing watching him from the shadows. After completing his round safely, he is convinced that the house is empty. He suddenly realizes that his right hand is touching the cold steel of the gun in his pocket. Did he intend to draw the weapon upon encountering Fuminari? Now that Koji thinks about it, his own action seems mysterious to him. What is he planning to do when he meets Fuminari? Will he lay into him with curses and epithets? Will he force him to turn himself in, or will he... Koji shakes his head. This isn't the first time for such hopeless questions. Is his house not any? His next door neighbor was going to, and then they died. If he keeps thinking, he'll stop moving. If he stops moving, fear will paralyze him forever. His only choice is to keep marching on. He has to close the distance to his prey. In any case, Fuminari isn't home. What form their reunion takes will probably be decided at the moment of their meeting. All Koji has to do is not hesitate when the time comes. Still, why does the whole house smell like stagnant water? It's been 3 months since Fuminari distanced himself from his friends. Just what kind of life has he been leading all this time? Koji enters the living room, feels along the wall for the light switch. The moment he flips it on, the answer to his question is revealed. It smells like shit. What? How far has Fuminari gone? Koji realizes that this is the first time he has encountered Fuminari's insanity in invisible form. From the dust piled in the corners of the room, it is clear that the paint was not applied recently. How many nights has Fuminari spent surrounded by this maddening array of color? Why, if such obvious signs were available, why didn't Koji realize something was wrong before it got this bad? Was he deaf to the dying screams of Fuminari's sanity? Was their friendship really so worthless? As he stands petrified in the unfamiliar living room, Koji directs his anger entirely at himself. If he could, he would like nothing more than to apologize to Fuminari for failing to help him through his suffering. Koji feels that he might have been able to save his friend. Perhaps he is arrogant to think so, but if so, it is arrogance born of kindness. Koji passes through the living room and opens the sliding door that leads to the kitchen. When he enters, he finds that the most disturbing of the house's many stenches is strongest here: blood. The room is redolent with the smell of countless layers of blood grown stale over time. He peers into the well-used sink. Around the rim, he sees faint brownish-red blotches that water alone couldn't rinse off. Even more obvious are the stains on the dish rag. Such stains are proof that the rag has been used and reused countless times. But what could it have been used on to make it that sickening burgundy color? Koji stares at the refrigerator next to the counter as though it were a monster waiting to swallow him whole. He stands motionless until he is able to work up the courage simply to touch it. Why would you touch it? Then he steels himself, grabs the thick handle, and opens the door. First, he'll check the freezer, then the refrigerator. The freezer is packed with frozen meat of varying shapes and sizes, as each piece is wrapped tightly and frosted over plastic. You can't tell what kind of meat it is. The meat in the refrigerator, however, has already been thawed for consumption. That's disgusting. For a while, he can only stare in disbelief at the 5 fingers beckoning to him from the back of the compartment. They are the long, slender fingers of a woman, their blush tinge giving them the appearance of waxworks. Koji is unable to remember what Omi's hands looked like, even though he has kissed her fingers countless times. When he finished crying after his conversation with Fuminari, Koji promised himself that he would not cry again, and in fact, he does not. He regrets his decision, however. He indulged himself too early. He should have saved his soothing tears for this moment. For now, he knows that truly nothing is sacred. At last, his doubts about Fuminari have been utterly obliterated. Koji pulls Ogai's revolver out of his pocket and wraps his hands around its grip like he would a charm. Its definite presence, his promise of merciful annihilation, is the only thing keeping his sanity intact. He will surely use it to kill Sakisaka Fuminari. Not for revenge, not for justice, but to make this world once more a place governed by reason. For that purpose alone, he must eliminate the anomaly. He breathes deep, exhales, then lifts his hand before his face and stares at his spread fingers. Alright, he's not shaken. He is prepared to face his new objective. Koji sticks the revolver back into his pocket and pulls out his phone. We're gonna quick save. Do we call Fuminari or do we call Ryoko? I believe that one will lead to one ending and one will lead to a different ending. We're gonna call Ryoko. The ringing of her cell phone interrupts Ryoko's labors. When she sees that the caller is Tono Koji, she unwittingly breathes a sigh of relief. This is Tambo. What is it? I've searched Fuminari's house. Even over the phone, Ryoko can hear the change in Koji's tone. His is the dull, flat voice of someone who has had all the energy beaten out of him. Fuminari has murdered people. He's killed too many people to count, and he's eating them. And then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god. His first steps into Ryoko's world have already brought him face to face with something particularly gruesome. In consideration of his probable state of mind, she decides to say nothing. Omi is dead, Koji continues. Tsukuba too, probably. Doctor, I was wrong. The fact that you're still alive to make this call means you haven't made a fatal mistake yet, Ryoko says, praising Koji in her own way. Whether he is comforted or not is up to him. Anyway, don't screw up this time. Do nothing until I return. What we're dealing with here isn't going down easy. With her understanding of Saya deepening by the hour, Ryoko is able to make this declaration with new confidence. Fuminari already knows I'm alive. I didn't tell him who rescued me, but he's definitely on guard. I see. Koji's actions were rash, but there's no point regretting them now. The more proactive approach would be to use the pressure that he's placed on Fuminari. Ryoko's involvement is still a secret. That makes her a wild card. Depending on how she plays it, this advantage could be decisive. Have you found anything? Not enough yet, Ryoko answers, glancing sidelong at the loose-leaf pages still scattered across the table. Let's see. I'll wrap this up by evening and return to Tokyo around midnight. You stay out of trouble until then, got it? Yes. The lack of emotion in Koji's voice is actually reassuring to Ryoko. He's a machine now, able to do whatever it takes to accomplish a single goal, the extermination of Sakisaka Fuminari. He is even willing to accept help from Ryoko, whose principles hardly mesh with his. A praiseworthy change indeed. After Ryoko hangs up, she gloomily counts the stacks of loose leaf that still needs to be restored. There's no time left. She'll only be able to get the general picture. If she has to go into battle with only fragmentary knowledge, then there's one thing that she absolutely must decipher. Ogai's biological reports, which should contain information on the strengths and weaknesses of the organism called Saya. All she can do now is pray for luck as she dives back into the mountains of paper. And now we're back to Fuminari. Today was the first time I've driven since my accident last summer. The proposition was always too dangerous to consider, given my inability to recognize roads and cars. Things have changed, however, in the 3 months I've had to adapt to my condition. I know what cars and pedestrians look like now, and even though I can't exactly see colors, I've learned to decipher lights and turn signals. I still can't read street signs, of course. Nevertheless, I managed to make it safely to our destination with Saya and Yo in the back seat. It was Saya who came up with the idea of our new hideout, an abandoned building she discovered while living with Dr. Ogai. In these hilly suburban residential areas, it's not hard to find thick patches of undeveloped forest just off the beaten path. Saya's old playground is located in one such secluded area, unaffected by the flow of everyday life. It used to be a privately operated sanatorium hidden among the silent trees. After the owners went bankrupt, it remained unsold and was eventually forgotten. After I left Saya and Yo at the hideout, I returned to town to make some preparations. Now I'm finally back at our new refuge. I like this ruin from the moment I saw it. Mountains of construction materials and garbage litter the front yard, forming a serviceable barricade. This place looks even less likely to receive unwanted attention than our house. Since my brain sees humans as revolting monsters, places they've been tend to stink or seem covered in filthy slime. Ruins like these, long empty of life, are the places I find the most restful. I'm back. I call out to let them know I'm not a stranger. Then I go down to the basement where they're hiding. Welcome back. Were you okay with the car? It was no problem at all. I figured out how to tell which roads are one way. As long as I keep my speed down, there's nothing to worry about. So how are things here? I took a look around. As I thought, there's no sign that anyone's been here since I found this place. It's safe. I see. Let's hope it stays that way. I'm a little worried that this abandoned building could become a hangout for biker gangs or homeless people. It's probably because of all the trash piled out front. Most people won't get anywhere near that, don't you think? I guess. It doesn't bother me at all. I rather like it, in fact, but of course, normal people would feel differently. I have not played Black Souls. I don't know if that's one I can play on stream. So how was your shopping? Did you find something good? I sure did. An axe. I proudly unwrapped the weapon I just bought from a camping goods store, a 1 meter long wood axe, the biggest and sturdiest I could find. I like how this was right next to a sign saying that long knives are illegal. Seems like you would do way more damage with one of these. I mean, then again, I was told not to play this on stream, so... Unless that game is way worse. I grip the axe with both hands, testing its dependable weight, and swing it like a baseball bat. The deadly steel blade sweeps through the air right where a person's neck would be. Yo, who's sprawled out on the floor, flinches at the sound and curls herself into a ball. How sharp is it? Want to test it on Yo? I don't think that's a good idea. I definitely wasn't expecting Saya to suggest anything so brutal. You don't need to worry. Her new body can heal pretty easily from cuts and such. But I'm sure it'll hurt. And decide to check on. We're not gooning. Who went into hell? Oh. It's way worse. Oh god, that's just gonna make Estefania want to see it even more. Hell has been something, let me tell you. Yeah, it'll be the Steam version that I would get. have to look into it. Sure about the we're not... Yes, I'm very sure. There has been nothing goon-worthy in this game. I guess you're right. It must have slipped her mind completely. She smiles at the oblivious Yo as if to hide her embarrassment, then says, "But her screams are pretty adorable, don't you think?" "Well, I just wouldn't feel right using an axe on a human." "Really? Then what about Koji?" "That's easy. It should be obvious, but I guess that Saya still doesn't understand. I don't see him as human. I'll have no trouble cutting him to pieces." "That really makes a difference?" "Yeah, humans have a conscience, you see. No matter how much you hate someone, you can't help but think twice about killing them, and that's how I'll win." "Really?" Saya seems awfully subdued. I guess she's concerned about what'll happen when I have it out with Koji. He's bigger and stronger, so I might not have much chance against him in a straight-up fight, but that's just slaying a monster to me, is murder to him. This is big. He'll definitely hesitate when it counts. "I'm a little worried," Saya says softly, staring at the floor with unusual gravity. "You can never be sure how someone will react. It's dangerous to rely on that." She raises her head and looks straight at me. "Don't you think it'd be better if I hunt him?" I appreciate Saya's consideration, even though it could be interpreted as a lack of faith in me. She's still putting my safety above hers. Nevertheless, I can't accept her heartfelt suggestion. "With your strength, you might be able to overpower a girl like Yo, but I think it'd be hard for you to take down a guy." The bitter memory of Saya's that is still fresh in my mind. Saya falls silent for a moment, seeming to understand what I'm thinking, but then comes right back to stubbornly press her case. "My first attack went fine, though. Most humans go limp as soon as they see me. It was the same in the hospital. You were the only one who could talk to me." I guess you have a point. I can't imagine it personally, but I suppose it's possible that Saya's appearance is shocking enough to make someone lose their nerve. Suzumi was able to gain the advantage because he had the same condition as me, which let him see Saya as a cute girl. Fear doesn't necessarily make people weaker, however. Depending on the situation, it can even send someone into a berserk rage and make them harder to put down. In other words, such a tactic would be the same sort of gamble that Saya is worried about. "Alright, Saya, how about this?" When I tell Saya about the new plan that just popped in my head, her gloomy frown turns to a bright smile. "That's perfect. You're so smart, Fuminori." "Oh, stop. It's not exactly a great plan, but I guess the fact that it lessens the risk to me is enough to excite her. She's so easy to please, but that's part of what makes her so cute." Where my hug at? So when's Koji coming? I don't know. He'll call sooner or later, and then I'll lure him here and finish him. Koji will come. I know that he won't leave us alone. We could just keep running now that we've started, but I want to eliminate Koji as soon as possible. Therefore, when he contacts me, I intend to meet him. I intend to meet with him unless it's an obvious trap. We're finally going to get more human meat. Too bad it's just going to rot without a refrigerator. Why don't we use it to trap other animals? It could be bait for stray cats or crows. That's too dangerous. If an animal gets away with the meat, someone might find it and wonder where it came from. Good point. Humans are extremely dangerous, and their filthy, stinking bodies make me sick just by being nearby. Ironically, however, that nothing tastes better than their meat. I truly regret having to abandon our well-stocked fridge. The forest around here is full of animals. I don't think we'll have any trouble finding food. We have 3 mouths to feed, are you sure? Leave it to me. I may not look it, but I'm a pretty good hunter. I'll be sure to keep us well fed. Okay, looks like you're going to be the breadwinner of this family. Saya giggles happily at my praise. I find these childish qualities of hers adorable. I wonder how long we'll be able to relax this time. Because of the casual way she says it, I almost miss the emptiness to which her question leads. Yeah. Saya is right. This won't last forever. No matter how safe this hideout might seem, we will have to abandon it eventually. The slightest mistake could put our life together in jeopardy, just like when I failed to silence Koji. Some dumb kids might decide that this old ruin is a good place to test their courage, or this land might be targeted for new development. In order to be together with Saya, I have chosen to live apart from society. We will never find lasting peace in this world, teeming with humans, not unless we can somehow escape from it. Think of it like going on a journey, just the two of us. I pull Saya into my arms and fold my hands around her slender shoulders and whisper, life is like a journey anyway. Nothing stays the same forever. The only difference is whether time passes you by or sweeps you up in its flow. I guess you're right. Saya smiles softly, perhaps in resignation, perhaps in sadness. Either way, there is peace and contentment in her expression. But we'll be together, so I'm not lonely. You're not lonely either, are you? No. I have no regrets. As long as I can hold Saya in my arms, I will gladly pay any price. And besides, she adds brightly, trying to cheer me up, one day we won't have to hide anymore. I can promise you that. It sounds like a fairy tale, but for some reason she seems absolutely certain. That day might be tomorrow, or it might be far off in the future. It's my first time, so even I don't know when the sign will come. I'm a little scared. I have no idea what Saya's prophetic words mean, but this isn't the first time that she's said or done something mysterious. She's performed any number of miracles already. So there's hope for us too? Yeah, she says with a cheerful nod. It will be my last present to you, Fuminari. My first and final duty. The hands of his watch move with agonizing slowness, as though counting down to the end of the world. In the hour since contacting Ryoko, Koji went back to his apartment, showered, changed clothes, and even had his first full meal in days. He wanted to take a nap, knowing that he needed the rest, but no matter how hard he tried, sleep never came. Forcing himself to relax only made his nerves colder and sharper. With nothing else to do, he decides to wander the city until nightfall. Do you guys want to go to Papa Sonic? Downtown Tokyo is bustling, surrounded by smiling pedestrians, bright lights, and windows decorated early for Christmas. He feels as if all the happiness in the world has been gathered in this very place. Koji takes it all in, burning it into his memory like it's the last thing he'll ever see. Is the world so beautiful because of the horrors that lurk in its shadows? The glow of the city can no longer warm him. Perhaps that is why it seems so precious. Keeping you here to view the... Sounds like it makes... Dude, a pizza hot dog. I can already feel the heartburn from that. Koji watches the city for hours. It feels unreachably distant, like reading the obituary of someone he loved long ago. His phone rings at 8 p.m. It's Ryoko. Their conversation is short. She hangs up as soon as they decide where to meet. And so ends Tono Koji's final night of peace, before he shoots his friend. Ryoko arrives at the diner at 1 a.m., 1 hour later than agreed upon. She has a heavy-looking duffel bag under her arm. Koji doesn't feel like asking what the bulges represent. Sorry, I had a lot to get together. Ryoko doesn't sound at all apologetic, but Koji decides to just nod expressionlessly. Only a few tables are filled at this hour, like lonely islands in the midst of the vast restaurant. After sending the bleary-eyed waitress away with an order for 2 coffees, Koji and Ryoko are left alone in a corner of the dining room, or the dining area. So did you find what you were looking for? Koji asked bluntly while sipping dutifully from his third cup of watery, tasteless coffee. I'd like to think I didn't make you wait for nothing at least, though I'm still not sure of anything. I think Fuminari is under a lot of stress. I've left him hanging for a day since I told him I'd call. Do you really think you have him on edge? His reaction to the name Saya was very clear. In the silence that follows, Koji tries to soothe his parched throat with another mouthful of weak coffee. I see, Ryoko mutters. So it is Saya. It's obvious that her grimace isn't for the coffee. You know, don't you? Koji asks, his tone almost confrontational. You know what this Saya is. Ryoko tries to ignore Koji's question by nursing her coffee, but that only works until the cup is empty. Staring at the brown stain at the bottom of her cup, Ryoko says, her voice hard and flat, "You were foolish enough to ignore my warning once, but I'm just as stubborn as you, so I'm going to say this one more time. Go home, Tona, and forget everything that's happened." You really are stubborn, Koji replies, smiling bitterly instead of glaring at her like he did before. Are you saying that I still haven't crossed the line separating me from you and Fuminari? You still haven't seen the most damning part of all of this. As far as you're concerned, Ryoko continues with a disparaging smirk, your best friend in the whole world suddenly went crazy and became a cannibal. That's all this is to you, isn't it? That's all? The things that Fuminari has done are so horrifying that Koji's only recourse, his only hope of coping, is to kill the man who was once his friend. Yet despite that, Ryoko makes this nightmare sound like just the beginning. Koji still doesn't understand where her morbid cynicism comes from, nor does he want to. See you later, Dakota. You say there's something more, but aren't you just imagining it? See, that's how I know your wounds are still shallow. Her brusque tone says that she doesn't care whether or not Koji is satisfied with her explanation. If you back out now, they'll probably heal given time. You haven't crossed the final line yet. Koji considers Ryoko's words calmly, without letting himself get emotional like before. The final line. True, Fuminari is somewhere beyond that. Although Koji has gone far enough to be willing to kill Fuminari, he has no intention of eating his enemy's flesh once he's dead. That, at least, still separates the two. Then what about Ryoko, who has treated Koji like an ignorant fool ever since she saved him from the well? How close is she to Fuminari? You're saying your wounds are deeper than mine? In response to Koji's biting question, Ryoko's mocking smile turns inward. This gun was my father's, you know. Ryoko pats one of her duffel bag's bulges. His hunting club kicked him out when it disappeared from his locker. I feel bad about that. My parents were always proud of me. They probably never even suspected that I was the one who took it. So you had a good reason for taking it? No, not at all. Her quick denial isn't what Koji was expecting. Hey, Eddie, welcome to the stream. At the time, the Ogai mess had already ended. At least that's what I thought. What can't you read? Oh, my shirt. My shirt says, "Go ahead and call me gay. You'd be right." I wear this to the gym, and then I wonder why... Well, actually, no one approaches anybody at the gym, but I'm like, you know, maybe I shouldn't be wearing a shirt that says that I'm gay, even though I'm not gay. In public. But then I'm like, whatever. At the time, the Ogai mess had already ended. At least that's what I thought. He'd vanished without a trace, and I was sure I'd never see him again. I didn't steal this gun because I needed to shoot someone. Then why? Because I couldn't sleep, that's all. Ryoko pauses, perhaps needing time to decide how best to explain. Until then, she continues choosing her words carefully. I was sleeping with the machete next to my bed. I couldn't stand being alone at night, you see. I needed to know that no matter what horrors the world might hold, I still had some power against the madness. See, that's what I was thinking too. But there was a gay couple that saw my shirt and was like, and I was like, yeah. There was a dude at Walmart that stopped me and took a picture with me because he loved my shirt. And I was like, it's funny. Until then, she continued choosing her words carefully. I was sleeping. I needed to know. Okay, that's... Koji doesn't know what to say. He's amazed, impressed even, that someone with such a serious case of delusional paranoia could function as one of T University's top doctors. It didn't work, though. My nightmares kept on getting worse. A machete just wasn't enough to let me sleep peacefully. That's when I stole my father's gun. By cutting the barrel down like this, the shot spreads over a wider area and causes more damage. I hear that even in America, carrying a sawed-off shotgun is a crime. But with this gun sitting in the back of my closet, I was finally able to sleep. One night out of 3, that is. At this point, Ryoko seems to have gotten everything off her chest. Nice. Smiling like someone who just finished a hard job, she adds. A gun's a great thing to have, you know. It really is. You can use it to blow your enemies away, and if that doesn't work, you can always stick it in your mouth and pull the trigger. Oh my god. Huh? Doctor, you need help. Thanks for the honest opinion. You won't be able to talk like that for much longer, though. Not if you go any further. Koji is already doubtful that meeting with Ryoko was the right thing to do. The one thing that he and Ryoko have in common is an unwillingness to leave Fuminori to the proper authorities. Like, I like your shirt. What is it? It was... Hell yeah. I mean, I have a Darkstalkers shirt that has Morgan on it, and her boobs are just out, and I'm surprised no one has been like, I don't know about that one. It's like, let's see. Fuminori not only killed Koji's lover and friend, but even went so far as to defile their corpses. Koji isn't about to give him the chance to get off an insanity plea. No matter what crimes he must commit, Koji will end Fuminori with his own 2 hands. If he doesn't, he knows that he will never sleep again. It helps to have a partner in crime, but only when that partner doesn't cause trouble. Ryoko talks big about exposing Ogai's secrets, but she might just have a head full of delusions. If so, Koji needs to rethink this whole thing. If you're telling me to leave this to you, Koji says with unflappable determination, then please give me some reason to trust you. Prove to me there's a reason for you to be so obsessed with Ogai. Show me what he did. So you're determined to go all the way? Oh well. So Ryoko smirks and shakes her head ruefully, but puts up no further. That does say futher. No further resistance. She pulls a stack of paper from her bag and hands it to Koji. The loose-leaf sheets are bound with string. After you read one line, it continues on the same line of the next page. Anyway, just skim it. As directed, Koji looks through the handwritten pages and gives up after less than 3 minutes. Is this a draft for a horror novel or something? I didn't think Ogai had such childish hobbies. Koji deliberately scoffs at the document, doing everything he can to show contempt for what he just read. At the same time, he tries desperately not to remember the mountain of bones in Ogai's bathtub and the unidentifiable smell permeating Fuminori's house. The specimens that Ogai brought to the hospital 1 year ago were just as unbelievable, Ryoko says, coldly ignoring Koji's disdain. Apparently, he continued his research in secret, using our supplies without permission. But he made a mistake and was discovered. That's when things got crazy. You're right, that's the part. Judging by the equipment he was trying to use, he meant to treat his experiment as a P3 level biohazard. To be honest, even that might not have been sufficient for what he was dealing with. We should have evacuated the nearby civilians, but the big shots did their thing and made the whole mess disappear. In exchange, we were left with the task of exterminating every single rat on campus, including the things that used to be rats. At their first meeting, Ryoko brushed Koji off when he asked about Ogai Masahiko. Now, however, she's telling the whole story. Her voice is flat and emotionless as a machine's. In the end, everyone gave up trying to explain what had happened. No one could figure out where his materials had come from or what they were. In retrospect, they did the wise thing. They knew how to keep the line between reality and fantasy where it should be. I, unfortunately, was not so wise. Ryoko pauses for a moment, then grins with self-disdain, so maniacal that it strikes Koji like a blow. I searched everywhere for Ogai, flushed him out, and finally learned what he'd been doing. I found the people he'd been dealing with and who'd encouraged him to perform his experiments. That's when I started sleeping with the machete. I learned just how absurd, how hollow, how worthless our precious reason is. As though fleeing from the quiet insanity that he keeps glimpsing in Ryoko, Koji finds himself paging through the loose leaf in his hands. He reads a line at random. The organism's flesh is not fibrous, but reticulated. Put simply, it is an extremely tough substance that expands and contracts not in one direction but in all directions. This means that slashing or piercing damage has very little effect. Since the flesh can contract in any direction freely, any wound will be sealed instantly. It's nonsense. What else can it be? If he lets himself believe it, then everything else, all the logical rules that define the world, will be rendered meaningless. Do you believe what's in this, Doctor? I lost any reason to doubt it a long time ago. Ryoko reaches into her duffel bag again, this time removing a stainless steel thermos that looks able to hold about 500 cc's of liquid. This is the secret weapon that'll let us defeat Saya. It was a pain to get, but it should work like a charm. I can't take this anymore, Koji snaps, no longer able to disguise his frustration. I don't care what Saya is. All I care about is killing Fuminori. I can't leave this to you. I see. Now that she's given up on persuading him, her assent is swift and cold. At this moment, Koji's fate has likely ceased to matter to her. Alright then, you do everything you can to take Sakisaka down. I'll take advantage of the opening you create. I won't get in your way, and I'll even take care of things when you screw up. Despite the determination in her voice, Koji can't bring himself to trust his paranoid doctor completely. Do you have a reason to kill Fuminori? I like things neat and tidy. I can't stand people like him who lurk outside of the world. They're like cockroaches in your bedroom. Can you sleep with them scuttling underneath your pillow? The moment I find one, I kill it and stamp out all the traces of its existence. I have to, for the sake of my mental well-being. Her reasons are similar to Koji's own. He doesn't want to bring a murderer to justice, nor does he want revenge for Omi and Yo. If he did, he could have left everything to the police. There's definitely semen in the thermos. The reason he can't is that the villain is Fuminori. The man he believed was his friend has turned his whole world upside down. Everything and everyone with a part in this madness is to blame, and that includes himself for allowing the betrayal. His self-loathing, his desire to destroy, is what's keeping him on his feet. Okay, let's move in for the checkmate. Go ahead and call Sakisaka out. Koji nods, pulls out his cell phone, and calls his friend for what will probably be the last time. The call goes through quickly. Fuminori must have been waiting for it. Sorry to keep you waiting, Fuminori. I've finished my preparations. Koji, where are you? Fuminori must have been quite anxious to hear from Koji. His voice is hard and completely emotionless. Oh my god. Let's just say I'm right behind you. Nothing personal. Koji can't help but smile at Fuminori's disappointment. Perhaps Ryoko's maniacal sadism has rubbed off on him. Well, have you decided to let Tsukuba go? Yeah, I suppose I have no choice. He's lying, Koji thinks, remembering the contents of Fuminori's refrigerator. Just what part of Yo did you eat, huh? Did you carve that poor girl up like a pig? Bring your evidence along with all the files you've gathered. When I'm satisfied that they're the real thing, I'll hand Yo over. Fine. Where? First, come to Y Station on the O line. When I'm sure that you're alone, I'll tell you the exact location. You're being awfully careful. No tricks. You have 45 minutes. Fuminori hangs up without waiting for Koji's response. He won't tell me his location until he's sure I'm alone. Not bad for a medical student, I'm impressed. Ryoko's praise sounds serious, drawing a glare from Koji. We'll leave my car here. Is your trunk big enough for me to fit inside? Yeah, but are you serious? You've seen too many movies. This adventure is more dangerous than anything you've seen in a movie. With those bold words, Ryoko grabs her duffel bag and rises from her seat. Weren't you the one who chose to meet here? Yeah, why? Oops. Take responsibility for the coffee, she says, and tosses him the check. Even after Koji arrives at Y Station as directed, Fuminari calls him and makes him change locations 3 more times. Koji is beginning to doubt that Fuminari is watching. He might just be using the time to guess when Koji arrives at each designated location. Nevertheless, Koji can't let his guard down. Fuminari might choose any moment to make sure that he's alone. If he makes a mistake and puts Fuminari on alert, Ryoko will lose her chance to take him by surprise. She'll have to put up with the cramped trunk for a little while longer. Deja vu. After the nature preserve and the dry riverbed, the 4th location to which Fuminari sends Koji is in the thick forest at the top of the foothills, high above the developed area at their base. His car's GPS shows a road that leads nowhere, but according to Fuminari, there should be an old abandoned sanatorium there. The park and river were empty this late at night, but during the day would likely have considerable traffic. This time, however, his instinct is telling him that it's definitely a place that no one could find, not even by accident. It looks like this is the final stop. Koji drives up the steep incline, soon leaving the residential neighborhood behind. Even though the hands of progress are right at its doorstep, the undeveloped forest is darker than he expected. This looks like a great place to live in secret, or to kill someone and hide the body. Places like this, lost and forgotten, aren't found only in deep jungles and hidden valleys. Holes in the world are everywhere, even in the midst of civilization. A broken down gate post suddenly appears in Koji's headlights, like a ghost rising from the darkness. It looks like this is the final stop. He rolls up to the gate and turns off the engine, giving himself to the silence of the forest. His phone starts ringing almost immediately. He doesn't need to check who it's from. I'm here. Yeah, I heard you. Welcome to my new home. Fuminari is nearby, close enough to hear the sound of the engine. A shiver of excitement shoots up Koji's spine. Come inside. Yo's waiting. Fuminari hangs up without another word. After grabbing his new flashlight from the glove compartment and checking that the revolver is still in his pocket, Koji opens the door, making sure to pop the trunk at exactly the same time. Ryoko shouldn't need any more explanation than that. Realizing that the interior roof light will stay on and broadcast that the trunk isn't closed, Koji quickly unscrews the bulb, then gets out of the car and deliberately slams the driver's side door hard. Mountains of trash litter the front yard, forming a serviceable barricade. Koji sees everything from small refrigerators and mopeds to huge chunks of concrete and plaster that must have been abandoned by construction workers. The fact that they would get away with leaving all this stuff behind shows just how remote this place is. Glancing sidelong at the rear of his car, Koji sees no movement inside the barely opened trunk. Ryoko knows what she's doing. She'll probably wait until Fuminari's attention is focused on Koji before making her move. The moon is brighter than usual, allowing Koji to walk through the front yard without tripping on debris. Staying alert, he heads up for the building beyond the mountains of trash. Something must be buried underneath the piles of garbage because the whole yard is filled with the sharp stink of chemicals. Even the homeless probably wouldn't come to this place. If you need to get out of the wind and rain, there are plenty of shelters more suitable. When he reaches the gaping, doorless entrance to the building, Koji glances back the way he came. His car parked at the gate is hidden behind the mountains of trash. Even if Fuminari is watching from inside the sanatorium, he shouldn't be able to see Ryoko crawl out of the trunk. It looks like she'll get her chance to take him by surprise. How many times has he stood like this, alone in some ominously silent place far removed from his everyday life? Sneaking into deathly quiet houses to find traces of unimaginable happenings has become as normal as going to class. The houses that he explored before were like freshly shed cicada shells, empty and dilapidated, but with traces of the life they had sheltered. This place, however, is different. A perfect ruin, its walls and pillars rising from the dark forest like an army of ghosts, with no sign at all that people once lived and worked here. The structure resembles a skeleton more than a shell. Time and the elements have stripped it of its former shape, and now there is only death. Koji has gone as far as he can. This must be the final stop. What will Fuminari's next move be? He must be planning to kill Koji, but how? Just as he's about to turn on his flashlight, Koji reconsiders. If he wanders around with the light on, he'll be broadcasting his exact location. That will give the advantage to Fuminari, who is probably lying in wait for him right now. Chaos, because he can do magic. He holds the light before him in his left hand with his finger poised on the switch. In his right hand, he raises the revolver, keeping it pointed in the same direction. Now ready to fire when he turns on the light, Koji steps quietly into the dark ruin. It takes a while for his eyes to adjust, but even when they do, he has only moonlight streaming through empty windows to guide him. Everything appears gray and indistinct. However, Fuminari has to deal with the same condition if he's hiding here. This is a battle of nerves, exhausting and deadly, where the first to make a sound and give away his position will lose. The rooms on both sides of the hallway are all open. Some are even missing their doors. Koji creeps up to each entrance, checks to make sure no one is inside, then carefully proceeds on. The stink that he noticed in the garden has changed. Now it smells more organic, like rotting meat. It's the exact same smell that filled Fuminari's house. The organism's flesh freely expands in a manner that renders piercing damage meaningless. Koji grits his teeth and forces the madman's words out of his head. What good can come of taking them seriously? This isn't the time for such useless squish. Ah, man. Koji freezes and stares down the hall. It was a wet sound that he heard just now, like someone dragging their feet through a swamp, and it came from the room at the end of the hall. Something is there. Something alive. Koji creeps toward the sound, his light and gun at the ready. Squish, squish. Now it sounds like someone squeezing mud through their fingers. As he gets closer, Koji begins to hear breathing. Could it be Fuminari? No, that's impossible. He should be waiting for a chance to ambush Koji, not making careless noise. Hold on, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. I didn't mean to leave you guys on a cliffhanger. I just really needed to pee. Sorry. All right, let's keep going. Sorry. All right, let's do this. As he proceeds, the strange sound coming through the cracks in the concrete walls grow clearer. That's no excuse. You're right. I should have picked up my whole computer. Thanks, Finn. Before he knows it, he is standing on the threshold. The room is filled with a thick, viscous darkness. Just like every other room that he's passed, there is more than just darkness, however. Something is there. You can hear pained breathing like that of a wounded animal, and what sounds like sobbing. Sobbing? Ugh. Who's there? Koji whispers in the darkness. Now that he's given away his position, he might as well turn on his light. For some reason, however, Koji feels that to do so would have disastrous consequences. Just Germa it? What does he do? Koji feels that it'd be... for some reason... The last time I heard her voice on the phone, she was sobbing. The wheezing suddenly stops. And then... Koji? A whisper comes out of the darkness. Though not a human voice, not by any measure, it speaks like blasphemous semblance of human words. A nightmarish flash of insight connects the dots in Koji's mind. Tsukuba? It can't be. Is this another one of your horror dating sims? No. It's just horror. There is no dating. Welcome, C24. There's the whole computer. Yeah, no, my computer is way too heavy to do that. It can't be. Yo doesn't like the... doesn't sound like this. She doesn't smell like this. Please, Koji, kill me. But if it's not Yo, then how does it know his name? Why is it begging for him for help? No, it can't be Yo. She's human, not some creature that slithers and hides in the shadows. It hurts. This body always hurts. Save me, Koji. The thing wriggles closer. His reason cries out, imploring him to switch the light on before it's too late, or to turn and run if he cannot. But Koji is unable to make either choice. He can only call out in vain to the amorphous shape in the darkness. Is it you, Tsukuba? Is it really you? Let me die. No more. Please, kill me. Something soft and slimy slides over Koji's toes. Instinct overrides his will, forcing him to turn on his light and shine it at his feet. The white beam reveals everything, the merciless truth that finally shatters Koji's sanity. You guys ready for this shit? Terror wipes his mind of all but two words, gun and trigger. His finger responds with instant obedience. Jesus, there is an explosion of light and sound, both more intense than he anticipated. And then the destructive forces are swallowed up by the darkness. His ears are still ringing from the bang, but he hears a weak voice coming from the shadows. It hurts. I've heard of that too, yeah. Koji screams and pulls the trigger again and again, certain that salvation can come only from the barrel of his gun. Light and darkness, explosion, silence, they dance before him. 3 more times. Koji doesn't even need to aim. The horrible creature is right at his feet, far too close to miss. Ryoko warned him how many bullets were left in the gun, but that information has already been driven from his mind. Even after the cold, heavy gloom wraps itself around him once more, Koji keeps pulling the trigger like a man possessed, paying no heed to the clicking of the empty weapon. Oops, I shot all my bullets. His panic-stricken legs suddenly give out, sending him down hard on his backside. Even then, he keeps firing the empty gun. He knows no way to erase the memory of the thing that he glimpsed in the beam of his flashlight. The light which fell from his hand during the attack is now pointing in a different direction, and though all 4 bullets must have hit their target, they were Koji's last card to play, which leaves him alone in the darkness with no way to defend himself. And just as he realizes this, a mass of rotting flesh rolls over him like a tidal wave. Ew! It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts! He can no longer even scream as the thing pushes him onto his back. With fear seizing his throat in an iron grip, Koji struggles desperately against the monster as it crawls up his body towards his face. Covering his face with his left hand, he scrabbles wildly along the floor with his right, searching for a way out that doesn't exist. His mind is that of a feral animal, empty of everything but primal terror. And that is why, when his right hand closes around something hard at the last moment, he recognizes it instinctively as a weapon. Putting every ounce of strength into his arm, Koji swings the heavy object at the creature on top of him. He hears the thud of a blunt object striking something soft and wet, and then Koji's attacker rolls off him. As soon as he is able to move again, Koji leaps to his feet and grabs his new weapon with both hands, brandishing it like a charm to ward off evil. Only now does he realize that he's holding a rusty steel pipe. EA Sports. The monster is still sobbing. Ah! With a cry that is part scream, part roar, Koji raises the steel pipe and brings it crashing down on the cowering creature. He hears a wet sound and feels the blood-chilling sensation of its thick, soft flesh absorbing the blow. These combine to evoke an instinctive loathing that wipes his mind of all but the urge to destroy. Die! Die! Consumed by the same desperation with which he kept firing the empty gun, Koji rains blow after blow down on his enemy. After the 10th blow, it stops sobbing. After the 20th blow, it stops moving. And after the 30th blow, it begins to feel and sound more and more like he's beating a puddle of vicious liquid. Or viscous, not vicious. He's dead. Koji doesn't stop thrashing the creature until he recovers enough of his senses to realize that whatever it might have been before, it is now nothing but a corpse. The pipe in his hand, covered with unidentifiable fluids and filth, suddenly feels unbearably heavy. You still haven't seen the most damning part of all of this. Ryoko's voice plays back in his head, and at last he knows how merciful her warning was. Now that his eyes are as open as hers, he is able to laugh in contempt of his own foolishness. 20 years of memories in the light of the sun, if they were indeed precious to him, then he should never have come to this place. The black flames of despair rise within him, consuming fear and revulsion and pity. Only rage and hate remain. Every cell in his body cries out for vengeance, for the blood of the man who poisoned him with truth and tore him from the womb of innocence. And then Koji, slave to hate, hears the sound of someone sneaking up behind him. Koji whirls, swinging his pipe with all the force he can muster. His enemy hastily leaps back to avoid the strike, surprised by his failure to catch Koji off guard. Twisted shadows dance in the beam of the light on the floor. Readying his pipe for the next blow, Koji faces off against his second attacker, Sakisaka Fuminori. Before this moment, Koji could never have imagined that he would ever speak his friend's name with such hatred. Hey, that was a pretty heavy swing just now. You trying to kill me or something? That's a comically huge axe. Even now, Fuminori is smiling as though the huge axe in his hands is just a sick joke. Damn, Koji, I thought you'd hesitate. You thought I'd hesitate against you? Koji sneers too, unable to contain his contempt for the notion. How did you kill Omi, you piece of shit? What did you do to Tsukuba? After all this, you expect me to think twice about killing you? That's my line, Koji. Fuminari growls, looking sadly at the pile of dead flesh at Koji's feet. How could you do such a horrible thing to Yo? I'll make sure you suffer before I kill you. The blade of Fuminari's axe carves a murderous arc through the darkness, glittering menacingly in the faint light coming from the floor. Koji raises his pipe to block the ferocious swing. The heavy impact numbs his arms, but his large frame takes the blow without giving any ground. Fuminari presses the attack, delivering a second blow and a third. His axe, designed for chopping down trees, is deadlier and more durable than the piece of pipe Koji found discarded on the floor. Each strike Koji blocks sends chunks of rust flying from his makeshift weapon. He can't win as long as he's on the defensive. He needs to create an opportunity to attack. Bastard! Koji blocks a crushing downward swing and pushes back hard before Fuminari can pull away, throwing him off balance. Fuminari stumbles backward and plants his feet to steady himself. Taking advantage of his opponent's temporary immobility, Koji delivers a punishing low kick to Fuminari's outer thigh. Yeah, we have to have some intense battle music while the dudes are fighting it. Gah. Fuminari grunts and retreats, swinging his axe wildly to prevent Koji from following up with another attack. Koji, however, does not press his advantage. He just stands where he is, calmly spearing Fuminari with his stare. You've never been in a fight, have you? Fuminari roars and comes in for an attack, but the damage to his right leg seems to be slowing his swing. Easily blocking the axe with his pipe, Koji waits for Fuminari to exhaust himself. He then says he has the power of God and anime on his side. Die! Die! Fuminari delivers blow after heavy blow, howling savagely all the while. What he does not realize, however, is that the situation now favors composure, not brute force. When Fuminari raises his axe high for yet another attack, Koji sees that his movements have grown dull enough. Seizing the opportunity, Koji charges into Fuminari's range and grabs the haft of the axe with his left hand. As Fuminari recoils in fear, Koji swings his pipe hard at his enemy's unprotected side. He feels the crunch of his ribs breaking. Gah! The pain drives Fuminari to his knees, staring down at Fuminari's defenseless head. Koji, surprised by his own lack of emotion, raises his pipe high to deliver the finishing blow, which is when something wraps itself around his left ankle. What? Gorsh! The instant Koji panics at the unexpected sensation, something soft yet strong winds itself around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the pipe at the unseen enemy behind him, but his right hand, too, is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation of the thing wrapped around his uncovered wrist. That monster's still alive? That's it, Saya. Fuminari says encouragingly. Even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted in pain, he manages a terrible, victorious grin. Saya. This monster is Saya. Koji struggles desperately to free his limbs from the creature's slimy grip, but more tentacles swarm over his body, stealing his freedom of movement. Ah! The horror has already driven Koji half mad. Just imagining the creature's appearance is enough to send him into a mindless panic. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage seizes his throat. This most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his windpipe, it's trying to snap his neck, and it's getting tighter. Koji is certain that this is the end, but just as his vision begins to dim, an explosion brings him back to his senses. Gya! With a horrifying, inhuman scream, the creature releases Koji and retracts its tentacles. The first thing he sees after regaining his mobility is Ryoko running down the hall with a smoking shotgun in one hand and a silver tube in the other. Doctor. Ryoko responds by tossing him the tube. Though still lying on the floor, he manages to snatch it out of the air. It's the thermos she showed him at the restaurant. The one she called her secret weapon. Pour it on that thing, Ryoko shouts to Koji. At that same time, she aims her gun at Fuminori, who's still on his knees, 5 paces away. The double-barrel shotgun still has 1 shot loaded. The monster that attacked Koji is writhing in agony. It hasn't yet recovered from Ryoko's shot, but he's already seen that bullets aren't enough to kill these creatures. Now is his only chance. What are you doing? Fuminori growls, gritting his teeth against the pain of his broken ribs. Forcing himself to be calm, Koji stands and carefully unscrews the lid of the thermos. There's no question in his mind that something extremely potent is inside. As soon as it is unsealed, a thick white mist pours out of the thermos into the surrounding air, turns freezing cold. Instantly guessing what's inside, Koji lobs the thermos at the pile of flesh convulsing on the floor. The thermos sails through the air, spewing white fog like a baptismal font showers its liquid contents upon the hellish creature. Yeah! Its scream this time is incomparable to before. The monster thrashes in agony. Wreathed in white smoke, its screams are joined by Ryoko's cackling. Ahahaha, that's minus 197 degrees, you fucking monster. How's it feel? Cold? Hot? Not so tough now, are you? Perhaps the joy of vanquishing her nightmare was worth the last remnants of her sanity. The manic glee blazing in her eyes can belong only to a shattered mind. Monsters! I'll kill you! Fuminori staggers to his feet, roaring black curses. His rage seems to have drowned out the pain of his broken bones. Ryoko is not one to underestimate the threat posed by his axe. Her mad laughter fades away, leaving only a cold smile as she pulls the trigger. With a short burst of dark flame, Ryoko's gun sputters and dies. Ryoko is not an expert on firearms. It never occurred to her that shotgun shells need proper storage, and besides, she's always expected that any situation where her gun would be necessary would also be the one that she would not survive. Cursing in anger and dismay, Ryoko breaks the shotgun open and awkwardly pulls out the dud. Meanwhile, Fuminori stalks toward her with like a vengeful demon, the head of his axe screeching as it drags along the floor. I have to stop him. Koji tries to charge Fuminori. Thanks for gifting 5 memberships. Sane got one, Venom got one, Random got one, KZ got one, and Low Rank Idiot got one. Sadly, Sabrizi did not. Yay! Sabrizi will get one eventually. Koji tries to charge Fuminori, but only succeeds at sending himself sprawling. One of his shoes is stuck to the floor, frozen by the liquid nitrogen. As Ryoko fumbles in her pocket for a new shell, Fuminori closes the distance and raises his axe in both hands. Damn! Koji curses and rips his shoe free of the frozen concrete, but he knows that he'll never make it in time. Ryoko thrusts a new shell into the chamber of her shotgun and snaps it closed, then looks up to find her target. Fuminori is right before her, too close to evade, and his axe is already crashing down with the wind howling in its wake. Stop! The sounds of bones shattering, tendons snapping, and flesh tearing blend together in foul harmony. Gah! The thick blade enters Ryoko's left shoulder, plowing through her collarbone and shoulder blade, smashing several ribs and popping her lung like a balloon before stopping in the center of her chest. Her expression frozen in shock with the impact, she sprays a geyser of blood from her mouth. Welcome to the Ban Kingdom. She should have died instantly, but through some unimaginable force of will, Ryoko clings to life for a few seconds more. Grinning through blood-stained lips, she raises her shotgun. Not to the front, but to the side. Beyond the barrel of her gun, wearing the 77-degree Kelvin mist like a white cloak of death, is the weakly wriggling Saya. No! Fuminori's scream vanishes into the roar of the shotgun. The destruction is absolute. The impact of the shotgun pellets obliterates the half of Saya's body that fell prey to the liquid nitrogen. The frozen particles of Saya's shattered flesh drift to the floor like snow. Even the creature's special biology is insufficient to seal a wound of this size. From the opening pours its internal organs, a tide of liquid, slime, and fat whose color is far too foul to belong to any living creature. Ah! 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 The monster convulses, wailing in a weak, pitiful voice. Saya. With his axe still buried in Ryoko's body, Fuminori stares at the dying creature, his expression utterly devoid of emotion. Koji grabs his pipe and starts stroking it, and perhaps to attack Fuminori from behind, but freezes when he sees the emptiness on the face of the man he hated. Fuminori pulls his axe out of Ryoko's corpse, then looks at Koji with glazed eyes. There is no recognition in them, nor hate, nor rage. When Koji meets Fuminori's blank stare, he knows there is nothing left in him to kill. I'd still probably kill him anyway. Fuminori grips the axe closer to its head and raises it high, the blade towards his face. Koji doesn't know whether he should interfere, but even if he wanted to, what could he say to stop Fuminori? Fuminori pulls his head back slowly, then drives his face into the blade of the axe like a spring-loaded toy. Crunch! His skull caves in with a dull, wet sound, and the spray of blood catches Koji in the face. Despite Fuminori's utter lack of hesitation, his first attempt at suicide succeeds only in transforming his face into a hash of crimson. Fuminori pulls his head back one more time, even slower than before. Then, with every ounce of strength still left in his body, he slams it into the blood-stained axe. The sound is wetter than before. Fuminori's body goes limp, then tumbles face first to the floor. Koji stares at the two mangled corpses for a while. He feels completely left behind, like he can't remember why he's standing in this place with the steel pipe in his hand. The stale air filling the ruined building becomes choked with the stench of blood, and the crimson puddles gradually spread across the snow-covered floor. Yet the tranquility of the scene makes it seem like a painting. A soft, slimy sound breaks the silence. Koji looks at the mortally wounded monster. The creature is on death's door, but even so it moves. Slowly, feebly, it drags its broken body through the sea of blood. It's coming for Fuminori. Koji had forgotten his anger, but now it comes surging back at full force. Die! He growls and stabs the monster with the end of his pipe. It convulses in agony, but keeps crawling towards Fuminori. Koji explodes into a frenzy of rage. Die, you monster, just die already. And again he smashes the helpless flesh beast with his pipe. Something tells him that if he does not stop it here, he will truly have lost. The monster, however, never succumbs. It struggles on beneath his blows until finally it reaches Fuminori's corpse. Don't touch him. Don't touch him, damn you. What gives you the right? Koji keeps swinging, his fury unabated even as tears start to pool in his eyes. The monster's slime flies through the air, joining with the blood already covering his face. The creature extends one thin, trembling tentacle to touch Fuminori's shoulder, then lovingly caresses his blood-stained cheek. And then it stops moving. Even in its final moments, the monster would not let Fuminori go. It died, joined with him. At last, Koji knows that the world he loved is gone forever. It is kind of sad. But also, Jesus Christ. Hey, Omi says enthusiastically, the exposed bones of her face clattering. Why don't we go somewhere we can skate for this year's ski trip? Chunks of her body are missing, as though something's been nibbling on her. It makes her look a lot thinner. She's been worried about her weight recently. Now she shouldn't need to diet. Fuminori laughs at Omi's crazy suggestion. That's right, you just started skating recently, didn't you? He sounds amused, but it's hard to tell from his expression, since his face has been cleaved in two by an axe. Not many people start skating in their 20s, you know. I was scared when I was little. Those shoes looked like big knives. Yeah, I know. If someone kicked you in the face with one of those on, you'd probably end up like me. Omi and Yo laugh at Fuminori's dumb joke. Yo never used to laugh with such exuberance. She seems truly happy now that she and Fuminori are officially together. But you were able to kill him on your first try? That's amazing, Omi. It's a lot like playing baseball. You swing hard and let the weight of the axe do the damage. He made killing him sound so easy, I figured I'd give it a try, and it was fun. The other ending would have Saya release spores so that everyone becomes like her so Fuminori can see normal people again. Oh, God. What is the feeling? Something is wrong, though Koji can't put his finger on what. Oh, well, I want to try eating Omi, too. Ah, that's it. When he sees Yo's envious smile, Koji finally realizes what's bothering him. Hey, Sakuba. What's wrong? Why are you normal? Yo tilts her head quizzically, like she doesn't understand what he means. Normal? I'm always normal. But back then you were... Oh, I get it. Yo nods in understanding. You're talking about when I looked different from you? That was such a long time ago. It was? Of course, she replies, deflecting Koji's confusion with that uncannily cheerful smile. After all, you're one of us now. Oh, of course. Koji looks down and is satisfied to see wriggling tentacles where his arms and legs should be. When he opens his eyes, his mattress and pillow are soaked in sweat. It's always the same nightmare. He doesn't know how many times he's had it, but at least he's not leaping out of bed screaming anymore. He sits up clutching his throbbing head. It's 4 in the morning. He hasn't had nearly enough rest, but he probably won't be able to get back to sleep tonight. Time for a smoke. A full pack will last him until dawn. Now where did he put the pack he bought yesterday? Koji wanders sleepily into the den where yet another old friend is waiting for him. You look like hell. Doctor, you're here too? Ryoko's chopped up corpse is sitting at his dining table, looking as deathly pale as ever as she sips coffee from a mug. You can't be getting much sleep tossing and turning like that every night. It's not always like this, Koji says, amicably as he sits down across from her. If I take some pills, it usually helps for now. Hallucinations like these are easier to deal with than elaborate nightmares like the one he just had. They should probably worry about him more, though. If you'd listened to my warnings back then, you wouldn't be in such bad shape now. Let's stop talking about that. What's done is done. Ryoko chuckles, smiling the same cruel, manic smile that she used to when she was alive. Her left arm hangs from her half-severed shoulder, dangling like a forgotten wind chime. Sounds like you've come to terms with it. You were the same, weren't you? You managed to pass yourself off as an elite neurosurgeon most of the time. It's not that hard keeping up appearances when you have to. The corpse shrugs her intact right shoulder and grimaces in disgust as she takes another sip of her coffee. But it's only going to get worse, you know. Time heals emotional wounds, but with you, it's more like you've been poisoned. She's probably right. Everyone dreams at night, no matter how dim the memories may get. The nightmares will always be there to tear into Koji with fresh fangs. The insanity that has taken root in his heart will grow, eventually consuming everything that's left inside of him. In my case, I've had you to learn from. I'm ready for anything. Is that so? Koji nods, smiling confidently, then stands and walks to the bathroom, where he retrieves the weapon that he keeps hidden behind the mirror. Ogai's revolver, the one souvenir that Koji brought back from the other world that night. It was tough, but I finally found someone who deals in these things. I bought bullets for it. Can you believe that ammunition is more expensive than the gun itself? How about that? In the mirror, Koji sees Ryoko with her axe-inflicted gash reversed. She raises her mug in a toast to Koji's resourcefulness. So, how many shots did you buy? Just one. This time, it's Koji who shrugs his shoulders. He uses both, exercising his privilege as a survivor. You see, I never want to be in a situation where I'll need more. Oh? The corpse in the mirror nods sagely, her smile approving. You really do get it. There is a brief silence. Koji doesn't really feel like getting all melancholy with a dead woman. Hey, doctor, let's give the diner coffee a rest. If you want, I'll put on a new pot of... When Koji turns around halfway through a sentence, he realizes that the room is empty but for the silence of the night. And so, Koji returns to the world of the sane. He lights his first cigarette of the night and takes a deep drag. While sitting alone in his den, puffing on his smoke, he stares at the gun in his hand. He knows just how precarious a cliff he's standing on. The final line of which Ryoko spoke is now one step behind him. Koji no longer has anything to protect his soul. Now that Ogai Masahiko's fantasies and Tambo Ryoko's delusions have all become tangible horrors, he knows what insanity and despair truly are. Back in the real world, Sakisaga Fuminari is wanted for several gruesome murders. It didn't take long for someone to discover the stockpiles of human meat in the empty Sakisaka and Suzumi homes, and the two refrigerators were found at the remains of Suzumi Yosuke, his wife and daughter, and Takahata Omi. They found the clothes and other effects of Tsukuba Yo, but were unable to locate any trace of her among the various body parts, a fact that made Koji's nightmares all the more vivid. Dr. Tambo Ryoko of the T University Hospital vanished mysteriously around the same time. Because she was Fuminari's chief physician, the police have been investigating her connection to his crimes. As for the two corpses secretly buried in the backyard of a certain ruin, well, they'll probably never be found, and this incident will just become another cold case. Koji alone knows what really happened, and he has no intention of revealing it, not now and not ever. Ogae's writings were not nonsense, which means that everything else was. What fool was it who said that men are the lords of creation? Those who can believe in paltry things like human wisdom and valor are those lucky innocents who have not looked into the abyss. Koji can no longer share in their blessed ignorance. He knows he has been defiled by the insanity called truth, and he will never believe again. If he has been poisoned, as Ryoko's ghost said, then that poison is none other than the truth itself. Just as pure oxygen is harmful to the body, the naked truth has the power to destroy men's minds. Only by diluting it with lies and taking it in small doses can humans maintain a healthy soul. No matter what horrifies the world, what horrors the world might hold, words once spoken by the living Tambo Ryoko passed through Koji's mind. I still had some power against the madness. That, without a doubt, was the comfort that she kept hidden in her bosom. The only thing that allowed her to face her dreams each night. Koji has taken his predecessor's lesson to heart. He's prepared for anything. One bullet is always behind the bathroom mirror, promising salvation. We played a game. It was really fucked up. And now we're done. Holy shit. There are multiple endings you can get. So there's 3 endings. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was anticlimactic. Well, what would you want it to happen? You can have an ending where she releases spores and... Did you want him to shoot himself at the end? It is, yeah. It's not dinosaur with double D's. That was an ending. Yeah. Well, they can't all be bangers. What, you were thinking that I felt like he was just like beyond redemption at that point. Like there was no way he was coming back from that. What a journey for us to go on together. Well, damn. That's it. That's the game. Oh, I have access to the CG library. I wonder what the... Oh, no. Look at all this stuff. Oh, don't look at that picture, though. That one... Don't look at that one either. That was boobies. Oh, I went back to it. Guys, I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something. This may or may not have been an edited version of the game. Because the unedited version is way worse. This is the Steam version of the game. There is much worse things than the full adaptation. Yeah. Sabrizi, the only reason is because it is way more graphic, to my knowledge. To my knowledge, this is supposed to be an edited version. Like, the Steam version is supposed to be different from, like, the other version of the game. And I'll double check that just to make sure. So, hold on. So, Song of Saya, Steam versus original. So, it's a remastered... Okay, so... The Steam version of the Song of Saya is a remastered release with a new engine, higher res art, and improved compatibility, but it's censored for explicit content, sex/nudity edited out, to meet Steam's guidelines, while the original or just older physical GOG Director's Cut offered the full uncensored experience, requiring a separate patch or purchase for the raw content. It involves... The Steam version's edits involve fading to black during sex scenes, which I can't even show anyway, and cropping CGs, though gore and disturbing themes remain, with a patch available to restore the original content. So no, there is... So, the endings are the same, but it just didn't show the sex scenes, which I couldn't even show anyway. But no, the endings themselves, though, are, to my knowledge, the same. So, yeah, if you want to see that, you can find it. But yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You trust me, you don't want to see it. Well, because to my knowledge, he has sex with Saya, and Saya, even though she's a weird entity thing, it's like, So yeah. So that is Song of Saya. I felt like it was my most fucked up game because of the SA stuff in it. Purgatory. There's another game that also is like infamous too for like fucked up visual novels, and it's Euphoria. That one I straight up can't play. That one is disgusting. I can't play it on stream. I don't even know if there's even a way for me to get it. But, yeah. But yeah, so there's like a um there's a disturbing iceberg tier list as well. Um you know, I could probably just pull it up real quick. We don't talk about Euphoria, we don't. Good night, Sabrizi. Thanks for being here. But yeah, I'm gonna show you guys this list real quick. Display. So yeah, here's a bunch of games I was thinking of, like. Hold on, I'm in the. Oh no, there's not. Yeah, I'll just be off to the side. You don't need the full me. But yeah, there's all these games here. It's more them being on the top is more like how well known they are, not by how fucked up they are. Like Yandere Simulator, like I'm never playing that shit. Fuck that. I do want to play Corpse Party though, because Doki Doki's fucked up too. But yeah, then the further you go down, it gets real bad. It gets really, really, really bad. That, hmm. But yeah, yeah. But yeah, I won't go too deep into all this. But yeah, that's something you guys could look up on your own. It gets really bad. Yeah, dude, it gets super fucked up. But yeah, I'll still play some of those games that are on there, but not all of them, because I think some of them are actually illegal to have. So I'm not doing that. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I wanted to finish this, and I'm glad that I did because I liked it overall. Like, I don't like some of the subject matter in it, obviously, but overall, I felt like it was an interesting story. And yeah, so if you want to check out the other endings, you can definitely find them. But I went with what I am assuming is like the true ending in the game. So yeah, I am curious on what the other endings are like, but I don't know. Maybe I won't even go get them. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for coming to the stream tonight, guys. Thanks for hanging out. If you have a game that you want me to play, let me know. If you want me to read another visual novel, I can definitely do that because I have a bunch. I have an absolute ton. It doesn't even have to be like a well-known one, you know. Make sure that it's not something that's gonna have just ass and titties. Could play Wolfmate next. Yeah. Yeah, you did give me that game. But yeah. Thanks for being here. Let me thank you guys real quick. I'd like to thank Wonder Red, Dakota, Devin, Aiden, Bert the host, Random Guy, Sabrizi, Estefania, Sane, Sven, and hold on. Bert the host was the one that gifted the 5 memberships. Thanks for doing that too. Make sure to subscribe if you were here and you weren't already subscribed, and make sure to like the stream. And you guys have a nice night. I'll see you later. Bye. See ya. Bye bye.